Good morning. My name is Yaakov Reef, and I am your worship leader this morning. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your life's journey, you are so warmly welcome here at First Parish Church in Billerica. Whether you're joining us here in our physical sanctuary or joining us virtually in our online sanctuary, you are welcome here. Before we get started, I want to make a couple of order of service notices. The service this morning runs a little bit differently than usual. If you haven't grabbed one, there are orders of service in the back baskets. One piece of note, we have a little bit more music than usual. And another note, I'd like to try something out where we do our announcements during the offertory. So you'll hear announcements during the offertory this morning. And along those lines, after the offertory music that Jody will play, we will sing our doxology, but it'll be a different doxology than usual. This doxology is called Alleluia, Sang Stars. It's in Singing the Living Tradition, number 363, and it's one that I've used before for the doxology. I believe that's mostly it. We'll teach a few songs today. We are really glad you're here, despite, or maybe even because of the weather, to find yourself in this warm space this morning. First Parish in Billerica was founded in 1658 to serve the settlers who arrived here from England to found the town of Billerica. We wish to acknowledge the spiritual and physical connection the Pawtucket and Massachusetts peoples of the Wabanaki nations have maintained to their homeland and to the land, water, flora, and fauna here, in this place we call Billerica, and the role which our First Parish Church played in their removal in the founding of the town. We also acknowledge the hardships they continue to endure after the loss of unceded homelands and commit to our responsibility to foster relationships and opportunities that strengthen the well-being of the indigenous people who carry forward the traditions of their ancestors here and everywhere. I invite you into a spirit of worship. Use the microphone. Here. Is this one yours or mine? That one. I think you're number one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether tears have fallen from your eyes this past week or gleeful laughter has spilled out of your smiling mouth.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether you are feeling brave or broken-hearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether you have untold stories buried deep inside or stories that have been forced beyond the edges of comfort.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether you have made promises, broken promises, or are renewing your promises.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whatever is on your heart, however it is with your soul in this moment.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
In this space of welcome and acceptance, commitment and recommitment, of covenant and connection, let us worship together. Please take an opportunity to heartily greet your neighbors and friends this morning. Good morning. Good morning. Our chalice lighting words come from Melissa Jeter today, a student minister at First Unitarian in Toledo, Ohio. Thank you. We light this chalice today to illuminate our way toward love. Inside the womb of this waiting time, we are bathed in sounds, floating in love, growing out of our comfort zone. We experience love, sorrow, pain, and joy. There is numinous quickening as we await a new world yet unborn. Please join me in saying the affirmation of faith together, found in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. So I'd like to invite all of the kids and young at heart together to come on forward here. I have a Jenga set up here, a rather interesting situation, I have to admit. Okay. Yeah. I did say kids at heart too, yes, please. All of us have something of a child still inside of us, I believe. So good morning.
Good morning.
Pretty cool day out, huh? I meant cold. But it's also a pretty cool day because we're all here together. And one of the reasons we all come together is what? Why do we come here? For community? Yeah, absolutely. What else?
For something to do on Sunday?
For something to do on Sunday. Yep.
Coffee hour.
Coffee hour. Yeah. Why else? To see friends. Faith. I come here every Sunday. Well, I come to church every Sunday. Whether I'm here or not is sometimes hard. I wish I were here every Sunday, I have to be honest. But part of the reason I come here is because in year 2000 actually, when I was 15 years old, I was working really hard to do some work out on the town common to raise awareness of some trees that were going to get cut down in Concord Road. And someone invited me to this church. I was 15. Within a few weeks, I was giving my first sermon up here. It was called It's Not Easy Being Green. It was a pretty fun time. Can you imagine giving a sermon at 15? Well, I actually believe in all of you. I think you probably could if you really wanted to. Probably do it at 18, 90. We all have something we want to share with each other. So I believe we come together because we have something we want to share. That's one of the reasons I come here, is to share things. One of the things we do is we build covenant together. So someone come over here and take one of these blocks out. Any one of the blocks. If it looks like it's going to get wobbly, others are welcome to come and help hold it up. Cool. You want to put it on the top? Awesome. So sometimes when we are in a community together, some of our pieces aren't always there. Sometimes it's because some of us are hurt or we're sick. And so it takes other people to help hold the rest of us up when that person isn't there. Sometimes people come and they go, and sometimes they add themselves to the congregation. Kind of just like that. We may not see them for a little while. They may come back and say, hey, you know, the last time I was here, I was feeling pretty hurt, and I got pretty angry about it. And so I didn't come for a little while. But then they came back. They said, I came back because I really love this place, and I think that there is something to this place. And so they add their own piece to who we are. As each person walks in these doors, we add more and more to our congregation and to our covenant. Remember 2 months ago, we were talking about covenant and how important covenant is? So recently, things have been a little shaky in the world. I think you probably have felt a little bit of that. Probably a little bit of fear about what's happening with climate, and you might see war on the news. And some of even our friends seem to sometimes get a little bit angry with us when we don't even know why it's happening. And that can make things like our beautiful community shake. So what do you do if it starts to shake?
Hold it, make sure it doesn't
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly. So I'd like to invite you to come on up and do just that as I say some of the things that we think about are shaking. So sometimes war can shake the foundation. What do? We add our hands. And sometimes anger can shake our foundation. Sometimes it's misunderstanding. And what happens? We must hold it up. Thank you for showing me that. So, do you think a Jenga block can teach us about holding each other up and keeping our community together, that it takes all of our hands to hold that up and keep it from shaking and falling down? What happens if we don't hold it up together? We all each do a part to add our hands to it. It could collapse. Right, exactly. So, I don't like to think of us as blocks per se, but I do like to think of this Jenga tower as a representation of what it means for us to build beloved community together. Each of us has a place in this beloved community, a part. Sometimes people leave the community and there's a little hole and we miss them. Sometimes they come back. Sometimes new people add their own selves. Each time a new person walks in our doors, we're a brand new congregation. We've never been that congregation before. Brand new. So when we start to think about centering love in what we're doing, we can't just think about the people who are already in the blocks, who are already part of the community, the people who have already helped us build what's here, but also all of the people who walk through our doors, who help us build a larger and more loving, beloved community. So thank you for sharing this time with me. I believe that there are some classes today, and so I will invite Jody to sing us out. And in the meantime, feel free to take a block, bring it with you home if you like, decorate it, and we're going to try to make this part of the church Jenga set. And over time, I'll make sure everyone gets a block that they can decorate with themselves. So, thank you so much. Make sure I have some water ready. So, love, our true destiny. You'll see it in your order of service at the top that this is a quote from Thomas Merton. Love is our true destiny. We do not find the meaning of life by ourselves alone. We find it with another. You're at a traffic light, and though you are doing absolutely nothing out of the ordinary, the person behind you becomes rather furious with you. While in line at Starbucks, you witness a customer blow up at the barista, bringing them to tears. Reading posts among your friends online, you find a mean and nasty argument between people you thought yesterday were friends. Someone tweaks you just the right way at the wrong time at coffee hour, and you burst out in anger. Statistically speaking, every one of us in this physical and virtual sanctuary must have experienced or witnessed a situation similar to one of these in the past year. Statistically, most of us have also contributed to it. There is no doubt that each of us has either asked vocally or silently, what is happening and where is all of this anger coming from? This question led me to countless articles, studies, research papers, books, news clips, documentaries, editorials, sermons, and so on. And they get more and more numerous after 2008. One of the oldest I found was December of 2008, and the headline was, "Americans are getting angrier." I know firsthand because I've experienced that anger myself. Christine Porath at the Harvard Business Review wrote an article in November of 2022 on frontline work when everyone is angry. She writes, "Regardless of how individuals define incivility, they're reporting more of it and have been for a while now. In 2005, only half of the workers I surveyed across the globe said that they had been treated rudely at work at least once a month. In 2011, it was up to 65%. By 2016, it had climbed to 72%. Psychology Today had an article this past November entitled, "Diffusing Armageddon: Why Are So Many Americans Angry?" by Scott Anderson, a scientist and science journalist. In what I feel is one of the best summaries of the current state of things, he writes, "We seem to be really pissed at each other these days, but there may be multiple weird reasons for that. For one, the news and social media have settled on fear and anger as the most potent emotions for driving engagement. We used to go to horror movies for a good scare. Sadly, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is tame compared to social media today. I can swipe left as fast as the next person, but I've still seen things I will never unsee. All of this to sell us some cereal. Cynicism, which I no longer find useful or helpful aside, I think he's right about the commercialization of media, news and social media alike, turning them into far more dangerous tools for division than almost anyone could have imagined. It has also become a severe source of traumatic content, harassment, and hate-fueled rhetoric. Mix that with the current economic, public health, climate, and political situations, and you have a recipe for uncertainty, vulnerability, and such pessimism that the Jenga blocks fall down. It's become so bad that it is beyond the boundaries of dehumanization in some circles. It so easily spills into our everyday lives, even amongst friends. The current state of humanity, as observed by celebrated naturalist and biologist Edward O. Wilson, who actually was from Lexington and also of blessed memory, poses a profound challenge. Wilson astutely notes that the real problem of humanity is the following. We have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. Wow. Sounds about right. He continues, and it is terrifically dangerous, and it is now approaching the point of crisis overall. Indeed, we find ourselves grappling with the disparities between our emotional evolution, societal structures, and the technological prowess that defines our age. So I keep coming back to the question, what if there was another way to live? What could it mean for us to explore the possibilities that lie beyond the current cycle of anger and conflict? What role can we play as people of faith in bringing about a new counterculture built on love with justice, so that when we are angry, we know why we're angry and have a way to deal with it? Maimonides, one of Judaism's most famous and influential philosophers of the Middle Ages, once wrote, "The most important piece of advice I can give anyone as I think about ways to change the world are two words: think small." In my journey to explore all of these questions, I rediscovered Brother Thomas Merton of blessed memory, whose birthday would be this week. A Catholic Trappist monk, writer, mystic, and social activist, Brother Merton was born on January 31st in 1915 in France. I want to paint a small picture here. He entered the Abbey of Gethsemane in Kentucky in 1941. Think about what was going on in the world in 1941. Devoting his life to a contemplative path within the Catholic Church. Trappist monks are meant to be secluded, cloistered, not part of the world. You may have had some of their jelly or some of their beer. He couldn't handle being cloistered very long. Merton ended up gaining widespread recognition with the publication of his autobiography, The Seven-Story Mountain, in 1948, detailing his spiritual journey and conversion to Catholicism. This work became a bestseller and inspired many to explore their own spiritual quests within their own religious faiths, and not necessarily convincing people to join Catholicism. It was remarkable in that way. Throughout his life, Merton delved into the intersections of interfaith work, contemplative prayer, Eastern spirituality, and social justice. He became a prominent voice in the peace movement and advocated for nonviolence. He opposed the Vietnam War and helped in engaging dialogue with other prophetic figures like the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Merton's prolific writings encompassed diverse topics from monastic life and mysticism to social criticism, which he had a lot of, interfaith dialogue, which he felt was paramount, and the nature of love. When he died in 1968, remember I was saying what was happening in the world in 1941? He was a monk from 1941 to 1968. Talk about a tumultuous time in human history. When he died in 1968 visiting a Buddhist temple in Bangkok, Thailand, he left behind such a rich spiritual exploration and commitment to the transformative power of love and compassion in a troubled world that has come to inspire me in my own ministry. I'd like to share some of his words. The beginning of love is the will to let those we love be perfectly themselves, the resolution not to twist them to fit our own image. If in loving them we do not love what they are, but only their potential likeness to ourselves, then we do not love them. We only love the reflection of ourselves we find in them. Love is our true destiny. We do not find the meaning of life by ourselves alone. We find it with another. One of the things I love most about what Merton is saying is that we need one another. We really need one another. The pandemic made that even more acutely true. We made more aware of that necessity to have people in our lives beyond just the people in our homes, even though we love them too. We also, though, need one another to be our most authentic selves, he says, because only in doing this can we truly love in revolutionary ways. We may not be able to change anyone's mind, and that shouldn't be our goal necessarily when it comes to love. But we certainly can, for ourselves, make a change, and we must to effect the kind of change the world needs. There's a story in the Jewish tradition that some of you have heard me tell before that I think beautifully illustrates the kind of think small attitude that Maimonides mentions. At one time, a rabbi known as Chofetz Chaim, who is famous in the Jewish world for his works warning on the danger of gossip, especially when it is true gossip, was asked how he was able to have such an impact on the world. This is how he answered. Originally, I set out to change the world, but I failed. So I decided to scale back my efforts and only influence the Jewish community of Poland. But I failed there too. So I targeted the community of my hometown of Radin, but I achieved no greater success. Then I gave all my effort to changing my own family, and I failed at that as well. Finally, I decided to change myself, and that is how I ended up having such an impact on the world. Love, as Merton suggests, is not about molding others into our likeness. God has done that already. But allowing themselves the space to be perfectly themselves. It is an invitation to look beyond our worldview and see the beauty and uniqueness in each soul we encounter. Yes, even the ones who make us angry. It's also a powerful message to look in the mirror once in a while, to make sure we recognize ourselves too. Are we living into our calling? Are we centering love when we are answering that text, that comment, that email? So, what if there was another way to live? What if we as a community committed ourselves to embodying love in all of our interactions? What if when we faced hostility, we responded with understanding? What if instead of perpetuating the cycle of anger, we chose to break it with acts of kindness and compassion? Don't get me wrong, I am not saying that we should have some Pollyanna attitude about the world. People can be really mean, they can be violent, and they can hurt us. And so I say all of this with, of course, that in mind. Be safe first. Don't put yourself in danger just to love somebody. But if the opportunity presents itself for you to be the person who has understanding, the person who can show compassion, well, what if we responded with that? We are in some rough seas on our blue boat home right now. More than ever in my own life, though I know others who've lived through 1968. We are called not only to remember the transformative power of love, but to center it, embody it, make it so integral to all of our interactions with each other and with the world that when someone says, I know him, he loves this world. It must be freely given, without any expectation on our part but to give that love. When love is given and is genuine and untainted by any immediate need for reciprocity, it becomes a beacon of hope. It is an enduring force that drives out fear and guides us toward a more compassionate existence, coexistence, and interdependence. The path to another way of living begins with each one of us. It starts with a commitment to let love guide our actions, to empower those around us, and to resist the temptations of anger and conflict. It involves seeing beyond the surface, embracing the true essence of others, and fostering a sense of community that transcends the limitations of our current societal structures. Our job, says Merton, is to love others without stopping to inquire whether or not they are worthy. That is not our business, and in fact, it's nobody's business. What we are asked to do is love, and this love itself will render both ourselves and our neighbors worthy of it. And I'll add, don't forget to include yourself while you're at it. Beloveds, as we leave this sacred space today, I want us to carry with us the invitation to explore another way of living, a way marked by compassion, understanding, patience, and a commitment to love. May we as a community embody the change we wish to see in this world, and in doing so become beacons of hope in a world that has become so overshadowed by anger, fear, and conflict. It is my prayer that love may guide our steps, empower each of our actions, and inspire a collective transformation in our world toward a more compassionate and just society. For, as Thomas Merton put it so eloquently, love is our true destiny. Our closing words this morning are a New Year's blessing from Rachel Lamb. May you fall madly in love this year, in love with someone who unhinges your tired trajectory, in love with a spouse of several years who might be aching for lightning, in love with demanding children and crazy relatives, in love with the particular pedigree of genius and sanity that has perhaps claimed you in spite of your reluctance, and certainly in love with an animal, a cloud, a redwood, the wild, these at least once a day. May you fall in love with this fragile jewel of a world, with hard work, real learning, just causes, petitioning, and prayers. May you fall in love with wonder itself, with the grand mystery, with all that feeds you in order that you may live, and with the responsibility that that confers. May you fall in love with heartbreak and seeing how it's stitched into everything. May you fall in love with the natural order of things and with tears, tenderness, and humility. May this be a magnificent year for you. May you fall deeply, madly, hopelessly, inextinguishably in love. Please join me in rising in body or in spirit as we sing our closing song, number 1014. We are answering the call of love. You'll see in the hymnal it'll say we are standing on the side of love. But Jason Shelton, who wrote the song, had a relative who became disabled and said, you know what? It's a really easy thing for me to make this inclusive. And so that's the only line he changed. So we are answering the call of love. Please join me in spirit as we extinguish our chalice together. I think I need to grab this. If you don't, here we go. You will find, here we go. Please join me in the extinguishing the chalice words found in your order of service. I will say the one if you'll say the many. When we take fire from our chalice, it does not become less, it becomes more.
And so we extinguish our chalice, but we take its light and warmth with us, multiplying their power by all of our lives, and sharing it and our love with the world.
And our responsive benediction can be found in your order of service. To share these words with you from Carrie Holy Hurt. Love holds you. Love bears witness to all your inherent worth and dignity. It witnesses how you try, succeed, and fail, and it does not flinch. Love will not let you go. Love holds all of you. Our service together has ended. Our service to the world begins. Live long and prosper.